Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles. We actually decided to divide and conquer today. So she did a couple of videos. I'm doing a couple of videos. I'm going to talk to you about the Netflix Narnia adaptation, the Greta Gerwig Narnia. A very strange choice, I think, for showrunner for Narnia. This is the person who did the Barbie movie. And she's super excited because apparently Narnia actually meant a lot to her. I don't think as a Christian allegory, but she says, it's kind of rock and roll, and they're going to have a rock and roll soundtrack. Now the IMAX CEO is saying it's going to be this huge cultural event, that Narnia is going to be like the second coming. And it's also going to have a modern soundtrack, including The Doors and Pink Floyd. There's so many things wrong with this. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about kind of the future of Netflix and theatrical releases, because we've got Ted Sarandos out there last year saying that, Barbie and Oppenheimer, the Barbenheimer thing, could have happened on cell phones. And this is very relevant now because it looks like Netflix is probably, barring any unforeseen regulatory hurdles, is probably going to walk away with Warner Brothers. But Barbenheimer was definitely a thing. I don't think it would have been a thing on cell phones. Again, Barbie was Greta Gerwig's movie, so let's talk about the second coming of Greta Gerwig. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, go to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com and check out more Clownfish TV. We are currently recording several podcast episodes. We're going to be doing more content over there that is not going to make its way to YouTube. Sorry. We're going to try to spread out a little bit, guys. I don't trust YouTube. You shouldn't trust YouTube. Nobody should trust YouTube. And I don't know if you can trust Netflix either. I'm going to be honest, to deliver a faithful adaptation. This is actually a thumbnail from a video we did last year where they talked about how it was going to be a modern reimagining of Narnia for modern audiences with a modern soundtrack. And now I guess we kind of know what that's going to entail. According to the CEO, Rich Gelfond, the CEO of IMAX, they said, this is not your mother's or your grandmother's Narnia. The music in it is unbelievably contemporary music. I'm not going to say specifically, but things like Pink Floyd and The Doors. All right, there are a lot of things wrong with this because the books took place for the most part in the 1940s. 20, 30 years before Pink Floyd and The Doors were very popular. And I wouldn't consider those bands contemporary, considering how old the remaining members of Pink Floyd are. They're like pushing 80 at this point. I love Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is actually one of my all-time favorite bands. They're definitely my top three. But this is, I don't even know how to process this. I'm going to have to see a trailer, but I'm just telling you, I have no hope for this. I really don't. I mean, if you're excited, fantastic. Disney never finished Narnia. 20th Century Fox, whatever, they never finished it. The first movie I thought was actually pretty good. Second one was kind of a snooze fest, and I forgot they did the third one. I think they did a third one, yeah. But a lot of people are like, what the hell is going on here? Wheelor says this has train wreck written all over it. Dinosaur Man says, don't need Floyd in the movie. It doesn't fit in. Blah freaking blah says, it takes a special kind of determination to screw up the Narnia series. Yeah. Just imagine what they would do with all the Warner Brothers IP. Let's Not Here says most of the books take place in the 40s. Yes. Gerwig's Narnia is kicking off with The Magician's Nephew, which is supposed to take place in 1900, but for some reason the film reportedly takes place in the 1950s. Are they going to shift the timeline? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense. The reason the kids found the wardrobe in the first place was they had been shipped off to the English countryside because of World War II. So they're going to do a flashback. I don't know. I thought almost everything took place in the 1940s, if I remember correctly. Now, the books were not written in chronological order. They're kind of out of order, but modern audiences is why it's going to fail. Here's the actual article This comes from World of Real. IMAX CEO claims Greta Gerwig's Narnia will change the world and become a cultural event. Will it? Will it? Is this going to be another Barbie? I mean, if it's going to be on the small screen, this is IMAX. There's only a couple hundred IMAX theaters, nationwide. But if it's going to be mostly a Netflix thing, it's going to be on your cell phones, right? Is that what they're going for? Are they trying to prove that Netflix can create a cultural event? And they have, I think, to some degree. I mean, I would say the closest they've gotten, Stranger Things, Squid Game. But even those, I don't think, are to the level that like a Barbie or Oppenheimer was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's to that level. IMAX staged its inaugural Investors Day in New York, where the CEO unveiled new information about Netflix and Greta Gerwig's upcoming adaptation of The Magician's Nephew, set to debut in next November via Narnia Web. Most surprising, Gelfand explained that Gerwig is steering Narnia toward a modern guitar-driven vibe, pointing to bands like Pink Floyd and The Doors as reference points for the film's overall sound. The score is being handled by Mark Ronson, fresh off his work on Barbie. Yeah, so we have a lot of the same people that worked on Barbie working on Narnia. Remember, this is a Christian allegory, or it was. I don't know what's going to happen to it now. This direction parallels what producer Amy Pascal stated in 2024 when she said the project was rooted in the spirit of rock and roll. Okay. This is a real blockbuster movie that's being made for IMAX and Netflix. I guess you do have to talk a little bit about why I'm so excited. This is not your mother's or your grandmother's Narnia. The music in it is unbelievably contemporary music, which IMAX fans like. I'm not going to say specifically, but things like Pink Floyd and The Doors, that kind of music, which people go and see in IMAX, which is cool. I mean, look, I can agree with the soundtrack. Just it doesn't make sense in the timeline. If it actually is Pink Floyd and The Doors, and they're not just saying, no, we're just going to do psychedelic 60s music for something that's supposed to take place in the 1950s. I don't know. I give up. I give up trying to figure any of this out. I would have to see it. I don't know. But I don't see Narnia, regardless of who does it, I don't see it becoming a cultural event on par with, like a big theatrical release. And we're going to get there because there's a lot of talk about theatrical. And Barbie was invoked, right? Despite pushback from many exhibitors, Gelfand is very confident in what he's seen so far, saying that Gerwig's film and IMAX, it's really going to change the world and create a cultural event. So this is one where my team has to hold me back because I think, as I've said before, that's going to change the world. And I know that sounds like a lot of hyperbole, but Greta is making this movie for IMAX and then fully understands that when word gets out about this movie, it's going to create a cultural event. Kids are going to be yelling chicken jockey during Narnia. Wouldn't it be wild if this backfired tremendously and people went out and read the books and, started converting to Christianity or something? That would be kind of wild. What I'm wondering is, how can it change the world and become a cultural event if there are only about 350 IMAX screens in the U.S., according to World of Real, some of which won't even show Gerwig's film, given that certain theater chains are boycotting it? I didn't hear anything about that. They're boycotting it. Why? Because Christian allegory? Is that why? Back in August, cameras started rolling on The Magician's Nephew with lavish post-war 1950s sets and crowds of extras filling the streets of London. This is notably different from the Victorian London setting of the novel. Yes, already we're like, deviating. Instead, it appears Gerwig has shifted the story to the mid-20th century. So it's got Diggory Kirk and Polly Plummer, Emma McKay, Daniel Craig playing Uncle Andrew. Okay. Carey Mulligan. Meryl Streep is going to be Aslan. Yeah. Pass. Netflix, of course, has yet to officially confirm any of these castings. Gerwig is coming off the trifecta of Lady Bird, Little Women, and Barbie. Purists be damned. There was never much of a chance this would be a straightforward adaptation of C.S. Lewis's source material. Gerwig just doesn't roll like that. I believe, didn't she say she was an atheist or something? I thought I read it. So I'm like, this is very curious to have somebody that's not at least receptive to Christianity, or I think I read before that she grew up in a like really strict Christian household or something. She kind of rejected it, but it's a weird choice for sure. The Magician's Nephew will screen in IMAX theaters with a 28-day IMAX only release window in November of next year. So why they boycott it? Oh, okay. It's not the content, it's distribution. So ViewBoss slams IMAX over Netflix and Greta Gerwig's Narnia deal. It risks undermining theatrical business because it's only going to IMAX and Netflix. So they were kind of like, yeah, we would run this in the theater, but you're only, hey, this is what's going to happen, guys. I'm telling you, regardless of what your thoughts are on Netflix, if it's a good thing or a bad thing from a content point of view, with Warner Brothers, they're going to tell people what they want to hear to get the deal through. And then once the deal is through, they're going to pull shit like this. I'm telling you, that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to run it for a week, or we're going to cut a deal. Hey, you want to see the Batman 2? Yeah, IMAX only for a week. And then it's going to Netflix. Subscribe to Netflix. Now Netflix, by the way, your Netflix subscription now costs $50 a month. But you're getting the Batman 2, right? You wanted that, right? Yeah, it said the deal announced in January led to reports of significant discontent from within the exhibition industry. It marks the first time it's been expressed formally in the letter. Richards asserts both audiences and the industry itself will lose out from the deal and warns that IMAX CEO Richard Gelfond's claims he's looking to secure further exclusivity arrangements will be even more damaging. Well, that's how they could get around it because, again, Warner Brothers, their movies have been pretty much propping up the box office in the last year or two. They've had some unexpected hits. They've had some pretty big hits. And exhibitors need every hit they can get. And if Netflix is going to do this, where they're only going to put their movies in IMAX and they're going to cut deals like that, yeah, it's going to cut out a lot of exhibitors. Theaters are probably going to close because they don't have enough movies to show. And they're going to say, hey, we said we would still release films theatrically. They did not say that they were going to continue business as usual, which is, here's what the typical release window is, and we're going yada, yada, yada. It could be like this, like, oh yeah, we released, Batman in IMAX for a week, and that counts as a theatrical release. Oh, we released this movie on Netflix. It was a big hit, so we decided to dump it in theaters for a week, and that was it. So then next thing will be like Netflix will buy all the movie theater chains up. That was actually, I think, on the table at one point. They were looking at AMC or something like that. Yeah, I don't know where you go from here, right? I mean, I'm just saying. They said it risks undermining the very ecosystem that makes theatrical success possible, knowing that Gerwig's Barbie managed to achieve its phenomenal box office success without a release on IMAX. Richards also referenced the nuclear option raised by Gelfond to ensure his Narnia deal remained in place. This is understood to be a way of legally enforcing theaters to show Narnia on their IMAX screens. So yeah, they're going to play hardball. Now, here's the thing. This is coming up again. This is something that Ted Sarandos said last year. He said there's no reason to believe, when talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer, there's no reason to believe the movie itself is better in any size of screen for all people. My son's an editor. He watched Lawrence of Arabia on his phone. So it's coming up again. Via the New York Times. I think they just put an article out on it. But this is the concern people have, is that Netflix is really not taking theatrical seriously. They think they can create events on streaming. This is what Hollywood is so worried about, is that we are going to see the death of theaters if Netflix owns a studio like Warner Brothers that has consistently put out pretty regularly hits for the last couple of years post-pandemic. I don't know, but to suggest that Barbenheimer could have happened on people's cell phones is just stupid. I mean, Netflix makes a lot of money. Ted Sarandos is obviously not a stupid guy, but it's really stupid, especially now, for this to come back and bite him now, because that's the thing. That's what everybody's kind of throwing back in his face. They're like, you didn't really seem to think much about theatrical releases a year or two ago. Now you're telling us you're going to release all these movies theatrically, Ted? Like, seriously? And that's what James Cameron was even like, yeah, I don't believe you. And you shouldn't. I don't know Ted Sarandos, but I know, you shouldn't believe it because Netflix's business model is not theatrical. They do it begrudgingly. They really don't have to do it. Even K-pop Demon Hunters, that was kind of we'll try it. We'll see what happens. If they think they're going to get more bang for their buck and more bang for the shareholders' dollar to release, the Batman 2 on Netflix and skip theatrical entirely, that's what they're going to do. I'm waiting for them to be like, no, we're going to upcharge all this stuff. Like we're going to do like Disney did with Black Widow. And it's going to be like, you can watch the Batman 2 at home, but it's going to be like $30 or something, And I know I keep going back to the Batman 2. I'm going to be honest, I don't give a shit about the Batman 2. I thought the first one was pretty boring, but people like it. They're looking forward to it, whatever. Some of the responses here, we have Jimmy Palmiotti, who works in comics. We're all doomed. Steve Matthews says he really doesn't believe in communal experiences. Why do you go to concerts, Broadway, football games, basketball games? You can just watch at home. Yeah. Kids are going to theaters now for that communal experience. We've been going to theaters to watch old movies. Just this year, I've taken my daughter to go see Casper and The Dark Crystal, and we're going to go see The Grinch. And it's really cool to see these old movies on the big screen. You know what? Just run old movies. Maybe it's going to be like retro gaming. Maybe it's going to be like movie theaters. They just run old movies. But there won't be as many theaters, but they all just run old movies because it's really cool to watch, a classic movie on the big screen, especially if you've never seen it in the theater before. There's so much more detail that you can take in. And sometimes I feel like you're more present when you're actually in the theater and you're with other people and you're hearing them laugh or sigh or cry or whatever, or they're shocked, whatever. It hits differently than it does when you're at home, just, watching on TV or something in the background, obviously. Yeah, it's just an opinion. Watching a 4-hour movie on your phone's insane. He's like the supervillain of cinema. It's bad enough for one company to own Hollywood, but they have to be a company that hates movies. Do you care if Netflix stops sending production projects to the theater, puts their content right on streaming? That's what I think they're going to do. The more I see from this dude, the more mind-boggling it is to me that they have a modicum of meaningful success. So much quality art, past and future, is about to get fed through a wood chipper if and when this happens. The Lawrence of Arabia quote, so dumb it borders on bait. Yeah, to say, hey, what is widely considered one of the greatest movies of all time. Yeah, my son, he just watched it on his phone. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. They're lying to themselves. Yeah. No, I think that is exactly what's going to happen. Right. And I was on Thinking Critical this morning. So shout out to Wes and Aaron and Sully and the rest of the crew, guys. But we talked about this, and it's not Netflix's business model to nurse along theaters, to nurse along physical media, to nurse along comic books. Things are absolutely going to change. I mean, it might be inevitable, but it's going to hasten the demise of theaters, of Hollywood as we've known it. Things are not going to be the same. Things are not going to be, I don't think they're going to be okay if you're a huge movie buff. I mean, Netflix does put out good movies. They do. But I don't think there are going to be as many of them. I think they're going to strip mine Warner Brothers for the content they want, make shows, cartoons, whatever's honestly probably cheap, or whatever is going to bring in the most watch time, the most retention. And then the rest of it just kind of gets mothballed. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know, guys. But I don't think Narnia is going to save them. Good luck with that. I mean, I'd have to see a trailer. Maybe I'll be fair. Maybe it will be the most amazing freaking thing you've ever seen. Maybe it's going to be incredible. Maybe it will be a cultural event. I highly doubt it. But there it is. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.